Hey guys, and welcome to Little Blackbird 91. We are giving you guys the US Task Force. This is where we talk to you guys about Married at First Sight. And this time, I am joined by the lovely Sophie. Yes, today, I think it's our first one that we've done solo, because normally it's me and Rak who do one solo, but we haven't done our solo one, so it's the first time we've
In
done
a
one.
while. We haven't done a solo one in a while.
See. We have to give them something special then. Do you know what I'm saying? Give them the full works today, get me? But I'm joined by the lovely Sophie. Sophie, you want to introduce yourself? Let them know who you are and where they can find you.
Okay, so I am at Sophie Hannah. As you can see, I do content creation. So check me out on YouTube at I am Sophie Hannah. I have been waylaid recently with some other stuff going on, but I will be back making fresh content this summer. Go check me out on Instagram at I am Sophie Hannah as well, and go see what I'm up to. I'm also trying to raise my Instagram followers this year, so I'm like 40 something off of 1,000 followers. So go over and show some love. Go follow, like, subscribe, all of that kind of stuff.
Beautiful stuff. Love that. So today, obviously, we're talking about Married at First Sight, season 12, guys. We're talking about Decision Day. I know tonight's episode will be launched as well, but we wanna discuss, obviously, the last episode's event, D-Day, where they got to say who they were choosing, what they were choosing, whether they're going to stay together, whether they're not going to stay together. And obviously, we had some very interesting, I would say, results. Not maybe because of what they actually said, but maybe not because of their choices, but maybe because of what they said in those things. So let's start hot and heavy. Let's come in strong. Chris and Paige, because that's what everyone wants to talk about, isn't it?
Nasty. Woo!
What was your thoughts on Chris and Paige? So,
I thought Paige was this close to staying married. Like it was on a knife edge for me. I was like, I don't know what's about to happen right here. And he is king manipulator. That's all I can say. I gotta give him props for coming on decision day and being like, "You're the best thing I never treasured." I think she needs to break down those stupid statements because that doesn't make sense. I was there to be treasured. So how could you have missed treasuring me? You didn't miss sleeping with her. You didn't miss that. You didn't miss coming back. You didn't miss a lot of things, Chris. But now you want to be like, it was just a mess. And I don't think it's over. I don't think anyone left that episode thinking that it was over between them two. In fact, the way that he left, I think he liked the challenge of it. I think he liked the fact that she said no. Because when he left, he was like, oh, you go first and all this gentlemanly stuff. He's playing a game. And she said when they went to, the group meeting afterwards, like the next day, I'm so glad he showed up for me. I'm like, did you ask him to show up? Did you ask him to show up to prove something? It's just a messy situation, and Paige, it just goes from bad to worse. I don't blame Chris as much anymore. Paige is just laying the groundwork for this guy to take advantage of her.
Yeah, I mean, it was such an interesting, obviously, watching Chris and Paige with the whole, like I said, she started off, I mean, to be honest, I always knew it was going to be a close call because obviously the way she's been behaving all season. But I think she has surprised everybody with just how, I mean, she said pretty much 60%. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was really, really close to saying the yay word in this scenario.
I think you could see that. You could see how close she was. And to be honest, whoever that producer was behind the scenes asked her some really poignant questions.
Yeah.
That if she hadn't of, I think she would have been much more likely to say yes. Because when Paige is saying, I think I'm going to make the biggest mistake, I could be making the biggest mistake of my life. And I'm like, what's that? Leaving Chris. I was just like, oh. I was so upset. But she was just like, well, did you make a decision before you come? Has anything actually changed? Do you, like, she had to ask those questions so she could be like, basically, Paige, what are you doing? You haven't heard from him, you haven't seen him, and now he's going to turn up talking about his baby's died. Very sad. If Mercedes was ever pregnant, I'm gonna leave that one there. But very, very sad. My thing is, he's obviously telling you why he's coming back. The baby's gone. Mercedes doesn't want anything to do with him. And as you're saying, isn't it? You said this before, Gojo. People want to bring people out the friend zone because they're like, actually, maybe choices are getting slim. That's what you said. I feel like he was just like, yeah, he found someone who's there going to be loyal to him, be with him, but no. No.
It's mad. I think as well, like obviously, I guess obviously I'd have thought she would have come there and had her wits about her, knowing that okay, do you know what, I'm done with Chris. Like coming, I'd have thought she would have come to the reunion. Let me not lie, I didn't think that. What she should have done is come to a reunion with the mindset that I'm done with Chris and we're moving forward and I'm not gonna stick in this relationship. But she didn't. She didn't. She almost came there wanting to be convinced. It's a bit like almost being at the end of your relationship and then kind of hoping that the partner kind of begs you or says something that's going to make you stay. You know what I mean, like to kind of stay in that relationship a little bit longer. But that relationship is not what they have here. This is not the same. This is not we're coming to the end of our relationship. This is you need to be out the relationship. This is not godly. This is not of God. This is not a foundation that Christ is happy about. I believe not when you're suffering abuse this early on. Like he didn't even have the even common decency to do what normal people do who are abusers and take some time and bring you in. He went straight from the jump. He showed you his asshole faces. Go on.
I just found it really sad, Kojo. When she said on the couch, the thing that was stopping us from being together is now longer an issue. And I just felt this is what she went from the beginning. And my thing was, it wasn't the baby.
Darling.
Like, if someone else had been pregnant on the show, let's say that had happened to Vincent. We don't know if Briana would have stayed, but if he was just like, look, that is literally going to be my baby and nothing else. I am committed to the show and to you. It doesn't matter. That's very different. The baby didn't come between you. Chris did. Chris didn't want to be with you. Chris ended it multiple times. Chris sat down and talked about there's white queens and Hispanic queens and black queens and how come I can only this? I got that. I don't understand. The baby didn't have nothing to do with that.
Well, yeah, the baby didn't have anything to do that at all. The baby was used as a way to escape the relationship, to be honest. And obviously as well, the fact that he brought his ex even into the picture to talk to you, like, yeah, it's just a lot of messy stuff that were done. And I'm all for forgiveness. Don't get it twisted. I'm all for forgiveness. Do you know what I'm saying? But not forgiveness that you become a fool. Some forgivenesses doesn't mean reconciliation. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've forgiven you. Well, let's move on. The dust was settled. But when my fear here is that obviously going back to this guy, he's already set the standard in terms of what you are going to get from him. And the trouble is that she's going to accept little. This is actually how abusive relationships actually happen. The traumatic cycle that people go into, which is he's going to give you very little. And then when he does something nice, it seems really extreme, right? And then he's going to throw you down again. In fact, he did it the whole entire season. Just when you think you're getting somewhere with Chris, he throws something else in. Either he's disappeared for 3 hours, or he's now someone's pregnant. Oh, Mercedes needs to come into the picture. Oh, I bought her a car. Like, he will consistently throw you into a storm because things like this, they never want to see you happy.
What happened to that car?
Who knows what happened to that car?
I want to be like, do you take back the expensive car you bought her to get the baby?
You better, because the reason why I bought the car was for the kid, and the kid ain't here no more.
I think as well, something that Paige just doesn't want to get ahead around, as much as he's talking about, God brought us together. He's just so rude. He just doesn't have any manners. Like the way he was talking to Dr. Viviana when she was like, I'm sorry, Chris. He was just like, I'm not going to do what you I was just like, Paige, this is just not the man that you want to join your life with. He's just so disrespectful. And Pastor Calvin had to be like, be the man that I know you can be. Pastor Calvin was lying. Pastor Calvin was trying to sweet talk him into letting pay. Come on, Kojo. Pastor Calvin,
I know.
Pastor Calvin got no respect for Chris. We all know this. Pastor Calvin has dusted that. Was it? Like in the Bible, he dusted the sand, the dirt off his shoes.
Oh yes, of his feet.
He dusted it off. He was just like, this guy's a lost cause. What he was trying to say, as he said in the show, I'm thinking of Paige. I need to protect Paige because Paige cannot protect herself. And him saying, well, some people need more than 8 weeks to decide if they're going to be together.
I was like, no, you don't.
You haven't even been around for the 8 weeks. What are you talking about? And when Pastor Cal was like, look, if you decide not to divorce, you're deciding to get married. Let's not get it twisted. You are not just making another decision. You are deciding that we want to stay married. And him trying to word it like he doesn't want to stay married, he doesn't want to get divorced. He just needs time.
Yeah,
Patience have stood for it. That's all.
she shouldn't have, but I guess he was using, like you said, he wants time. It's time to break her down. Like, if she's not gonna leave, then she's showing us what you want. Like I was seeing in another live, and I was like if you want the low, if you want the less destructive game that men play, it's kind of similar, where it's like a girl that you're not really feeling, but she can give you time, energy, money, sex, and that girl will do all those things, but you don't really want her. The guy will kind of do everything he can to keep her around. Now, when he does the bare minimum, and as soon as she starts to stretch, he goes, "Oh no, I care for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what it is. Like, I'm just trying to just get my stuff together." And then he'll let her stretch again. She'll decide she wants to go away, and he does another thing. And that's like I'll call it. I wouldn't say it's still destructive. It's just not as I would call it as we're seeing right now with Chris. Similar in a sense. And it's quite similar actually, saying that to how Chris is behaving, which is that the push and pull effect. When they need something, that's when they're pulling you in, and then they let you go off again when you're thinking like you're not cared for, everything like that, and then they pull you in again when they feel like you're drifting again. And that's what he's done all season long. When he was talking of all that trash talk about when he was I've got a kid and I'm not sure if I like my ex or not, and then Paige was like looking about leaving, and then they had a conversation at the dinner table, and he was like, "If you left, I would have chased after you." So see, that's what we're talking about, right? That's the manipulation we're talking about. Suddenly you're all interested in her again, and then it goes off again. You didn't move in. You went to your ex's house when you flew off the plane from the honeymoon, right? Didn't move in. Paige is now feeling a bit like you're leaving her spare, asking for a phone call you can't even do, and suddenly, all of a sudden, now you lot are playing basketball, having Kentucky Fried Chicken from freaking Harrods, and doing Bible studies, and you're pulling her in again. Right? It's basically what we see is what the man them used to do when they're very, very young, when they don't really care about the girl. But that's what I'm saying. So Paige needs to see that and say, hey, this is not worth saving. That man doesn't change. That boy doesn't change. The man them that were doing those games, the girls thought they could change those guys. They couldn't. They all failed. Do you know why? Because had you succeeded, it would have been succeeded from the very, very beginning. You didn't. And that's what Paige is trying to save this particular situation, trying to be Jesus. And darling, Jesus is Jesus for a reason, and are who you are.
I'm telling you, Paige saw it ending. Paige saw her saying she wants to. Chris saw Paige saying she wants a divorce as a challenge. All it did was intensify that. Oh, she's a little feisty. This one, okay, okay.
Leave.
She made it easier before, but now there's a challenge. Now I've got to put in work. It makes it even more appetizing. And Paige is the sort of woman, from what I can see, who doesn't realize that he's just there for the game, and once he's gotten it, he's gonna discard you. I think that she will take it as him. Now he's finally showing genuine interest. Now he actually wants to be married. Now he's turned around and seen the error of his ways. And it's not that.
It really isn't.
It's not that.
It really isn't. It's so basic, man. It's so trivial behavior, man. It's like we're back in.
You look fed up of talking about it.
But I'm just. I don't want to go too hard on Paige. I'm trying not to go too hard on Paige, because irrespective of whether I don't like what Chris is doing, I don't want to be too hard on Paige, and because she's in an abusive relationship in a sense, right? But it's just like I'm looking at him like he hasn't done anything special, like darling. Like he hasn't done anything special. Like I can't take the excuse of the sex at the first day, second day was what caught her up. Nah, like let's keep it 100% sure. Like that's not what caught her up. Other things have caught her up, which is probably before the relationship. How you feel about yourself, how you value yourself, is what's caught you up now on the D or now on him. Like it's nothing to, because he didn't do anything. Like I'm talking about. The guys that I rolled with, listen, you would never see it coming because how they present themselves. But Chris showed how he was coming from the very first day. It's like these guys, they kind of they intro you, okay? They intro you. They show you one side of them, how gentlemen they are, chivalrous, buying you things, just showing that they care for you, right? So that you've got tangible evidence to see that actually he does things for me. So when people question it, you can go, but he did this, he did that. And then then it gets into a point where they go, okay, now I'm going to start the scumbaggery. Now I'm going to start doing the madness. But Chris didn't even give you that. He didn't even give you that, and that's what's concerning. Like, so that tells me you broke him from before then, man.
I think that, yeah, I definitely think there's some self-esteem things going on there, because he's not offering her anything, and it makes me sad. And from what we can see about the reunion show, he said something about they went to counselling together or something.
I'm hearing about it. Someone put that. Yeah. Someone said about that.
They had counselling for what? To resurrect what? I just feel bad for her, and yeah.
It's
I don't think she can. Cheesy Smith. I don't think she thinks she can find anyone else. I think when she was just like, there are some really great qualities about Chris. I'm not really sure what she's holding on to. I think she's holding on to the potential and the idea of what she thinks he is. So the successful businessman, God-fearing. He obviously wants to be a father. So she's like, he's going to be a provider, and he comes from a two-parent household. Maybe he had that spiritual upbringing. Like, you can talk yourself into a bad situation. It's very easy to talk yourself into a bad relationship. Very easy to clutch onto straws and make it seem like it's a pile of gold at the end of the rainbow. But all the stuff that he done, to be honest, on the first 24 hours of their marriage, probably less, because when he had the panic attack, that was under 24 hours of the marriage. Under 24 hours, he showed you what he was about, and that he had no respect for you.
Yeah.
And now she wants to be like, he's got some great qualities. She needs to, it just makes me sad that she thinks that he's such a catch, because he's not.
Yeah, it's sad, man. It's sad. Oh, Paige, when will you open your eyes and see the Kenko coffee? Smell it. Cool. Obviously she did get. I was thinking it was no. You already mentioned it about her being excited about. Well, I wouldn't say excited, but she was kind of excited, not excited about the fact that the baby wasn't there anymore, and that was kind of giving her the little bit of the we can be together.
Look, do you know what it is? She thought when the baby's not there, Mercedes isn't there.
Yeah,
that's the way she's seeing it.
Yeah.
Oh, if the baby's not here, the Mercedes can't be here. Then maybe he'll choose me, because maybe the thing that was turning his head was the fact that
you're having a child.
He wanted to create a family over there and this and that. But if that isn't pulling him in one direction, then he can just focus on me. And I've had ex-boyfriends. I've had ex-boyfriends or boyfriends who are being probably pursued by an ex-girlfriend who still wants to be them. It's not the ex-girlfriend, it's them.
Yeah.
Like, it's not them. Like, you can't. They're never going to live in a place, and Chris is not going to live in a place where he's just going to turn down all the women that come to him. He obviously is somebody who likes a certain sort of woman, and you're not it. And he's made it very clear that he isn't into looking into your very good characteristics and what you would bring to the relationship, which I think would be a lot. He doesn't care about that. He's made that very clear.
Yeah.
So you can't change him around. And how did she feel when she watched it back and he's just talking about, everything was good with her apart from her face. It was just her face. Yeah.
That's what I want to know. I was hopefully in the reunion they ask her those questions, because obviously, like, it, you if I see that, I'm just like, but then I'm like, when you're already deep. So even if you do see that, all it's gonna be is a question mark. It's not gonna be heavy enough to take you out of that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not gonna be heavy enough because you're already deep. And you're really trying to work things out. So it's going to be like one of those things like, right, that was really bad, but you know what? We're trying to work things out, so I'm going to let it go. It's
if you'd be like, Chris says some things when he's upset, which we can also... Yeah. Let me be Paige. I'll be Paige. You ask me the question, Koja.
What question was to ask you then?
About when he said, like, it was her face that was the problem. Her personality was just her face.
Oh, yeah. It was, you know what? It's just her face is a problem. So, Paige, how do you feel about obviously hearing your husband, Chris, talk about you in that vein, in that fashion?
I think we've all seen that when Chris is upset, he says some things that he doesn't mean. And, the program is heavily edited. You don't actually see everything that goes on behind the scenes. And Chris was in a very difficult position at that time. I think he's made it very clear. Mercedes was pregnant. There was a baby. He had a lot of stress on him. He didn't want to film. There was a lot going on. Things weren't going good with him in the business as well, and that was shutting down. And I think what we saw was him just sharing, like pouring out these feelings, which he obviously didn't mean. We've been working on it. We've been going to counselling, and I think the fact that why would he sleep with me if he wasn't attracted to me? Multiple times. He did it multiple times. So I think that, God forgives and I forgive. And I think we need to let that go because now we're in a better place. And he told me he doesn't mean it. And I believe my husband.
But surely you'd obviously, I mean, that part was actually unedited. So, he said what he said at that moment.
I think you saw that it was not edited, but you weren't able to see the entire dialogue with Pastor Calvin. I think everyone has said it. Everyone has said, you're seeing an hour and a half of a show and they're filming 24 hours a day. It's not possible to catch everything because there were so many times when Chris was telling me how beautiful I was and how much he loved me and how much he was attracted to me, but that didn't make it in. It was like they were trying to spin a narrative, but I know the real Chris. And what happens between us, it stays between us, and I know his heart.
Last question. I mean, has any other incidents occurred since then, since obviously the filming of the show?
I think what happens between a man and his wife is very private, so I'm not going to talk about, personal things, but Chris has shown to me, he has proved to me that he is willing to make the chance and the effort that he needs, and God brought us together for a reason. You saw the infinity necklace. That was my design, my pattern. Like, God brought us together. God wants us to break generational curses for marriages, and no marriage is perfect. No marriage is easy. Our one has been more difficult at the beginning, but from what we've seen off camera now, when the cameras aren't around, Chris is completely different. And to be honest, I think that I'm really glad that the show brought us together.
Yeah, that's mad. I can't believe it. Bro, I'm just thinking like the disillusion there, guys.
Look, she's gonna come with some disillusion talk. I guarantee it, because they're gonna be like, Paige, why did you? And she's gonna have all the excuses in the world, all the excuses. Coach, you look lost.
Bro, I was actually imagining that is actually how she's going to talk about it. And I was thinking to myself, there's no angles to get her to change that.
No, she's not changing it. Because she's going to see it as being loyal to her husband.
That was mad. That was really good, though, by the way.
Thank you.
Really had me really believing you was Paige up on her. All right, cool. We'll leave them alone. Let's talk about another of your favorite people. Who we're going to talk about next.
Hayley and Jacob.
You already know. You've been defending Hayley for the longest time.
I've been defending her, and don't tell me that everything I've said about Hayley has come true. Hayley is the prize in this relationship.
What?
Are you kidding me? Hayley is the prize in this union, and Jacob is out here being bitter because he can't get none. That is exactly what's going on. And look, I had to laugh. My girl Hayley, the way she came sauntering into decision day, happy as like she sat down. I'm good. I'm happy. I was just like, is she really that happy she's getting a divorce? I was just like, nah, she's bad mind, But Jacob doesn't know what he wants. I'm sorry. I can't defend Jacob. He's just... No.
So, when she was talking about, obviously, the fact that Hayley said she was working, what part of work was she doing? She's again said it. She was working. I'm like, bruv, what was she working
so hard. Are you kidding me? The amount of time going out on dates and trying to do that, buying him clothes, starting the conversations. Every time he had a hissy fit, talking about, well, you was probably with another man, weren't you? She forgave him and gave him another chance over and over and over again. And Jacob just has no emotional IQ. He has no emotional IQ. He doesn't know how to interact with anyone. She's talking about one thing, and then he takes it to, "But are you attracted to me?" That was his whole thing, that she wasn't attracted to him and he could never let it go. Don't ask the question if you can't take the answer.
I don't know what to even say, yo. Jacob and Haley.
Are you really going to defend Jacob?
I mean, I'm not saying he's perfect, and I'm not saying that he's the most amazing candidate, like some of the ladies have said. But I'm just gonna say, there was a lot that Haley didn't do right. I think she is consistently trying to gaslight the situation.
No way.
With those fake ass tears that I keep seeing. Right? Do you know what I mean?
Coming from Jacob, he wants to take back his Degga bracelet because she didn't want to wear it. That Jacob?
Okay, that was petty. No, that was petty.
He is Mr. Petty. That's the point.
He is petty. I won't lie to you. He's petty.
So petty. Like going to the house and then making himself 8 eggs because nobody turned up on time, and then pretending like he can't remember they were supposed to make lunch and make dinner. Do you remember when they went away and she was like, "I told you we were making dinner. Did you? Did you?" He knows that she did. He just lied because he's a child. He is a child. Kojo, come on.
I can't defend Haley. I'm so sorry. I can't defend her. She did too much. I'm not saying that she's in it. I'm not saying she's the only one, because like I said, I always said about Jacob the fact that it'd be very hard for me too. Somebody who's not socially aware, if somebody is not relative in terms of their social I want to say mobility, in terms of their social interactions. You know what I mean? So I get that point, right? That Haley might have suffered in that part and she might have struggled in that part, but Haley did not do anything that was worthy of saying anything that she worked. She didn't do the work. The shirt she didn't do for her. The date she didn't do for her. Yeah.
Oh no, you're right. She did too much. She carried that relationship on her back. You're right. She did way too much. Way too much.
Oh my freaking word! I can't remember what they even said on the couch.
They started arguing all over again, and the experts were just like, "Okay, so is this just gonna?" It was never gonna work. It was never gonna work. Do you know what? There was a time when it could have worked.
Okay.
There was a time when it could have, but Jacob just couldn't get out of his own way. And what Jacob needed was a bit of game, to be honest. He needed to play the long game, talk to her, get to know her, and see what would happen. He was too big on the "she's not attracted to me, she doesn't want to have sex with me." So look, I'm telling you, I'm here for Haley. I'm here for Haley. I ride with Haley. No one can't tell me no.
So you say that she was open. She was very open and honest about how she felt, about what was actually the truth of what she was feeling towards necessarily him.
Every time she sat on that sofa, she was very clear on the fact, "I find it very difficult to be in." What I think she could have done personally, I think that I think what Haley could have done was shared the bed with him. Like, I think
she couldn't, because she found him grotesque. That's the point. She can't do hugs. She can't do touching. She can't do any physical contact with Jacob. She finds him grotesque. You know, she got an ick. That's what she had.
She doesn't, because she slept with him. So
yeah, no. After that, the ick came about, right?
My thing is, I think the physical closeness and then maybe being able to talk in bed and have that sort of closeness, even if it didn't turn into anything, I think it would have been good for those two. And I think she maybe should have tried the physical intimacy in terms of a hug. I think a hug every day was not asking for too much. And those barriers, he's obviously someone who very highly treasures physical touch and physical intimacy of all types. She wasn't given any of it. And I think that put a major spanner in the works, but I don't think he was understanding either. Kojo, don't look at me like that. What I am saying is he needs to find other ways to show love apart from sex. And I think that's what really did it for Jacob. When she didn't want to have sex with him, suddenly it's the worst thing in the world.
It is the worst thing in the world. if you gave me sex and then suddenly you don't want to have sex with me. That is a bit weird.
But would you be pressuring her like that, bringing it up at every cornerstone? You could? No, you wouldn't, Kojo.
You're damn right I wouldn't, because that wouldn't be happening to me, that's for sure. Because you're going to enjoy that stuff. So there's no way you're going to have that problem. But, you know, I can understand why he felt stressed about that. You know, 1 minute you're giving me sex, next minute you're not. Next minute you're crying about something and not eating for 2 days and lying about the fact you fasted and prayed. We don't need to have all that energy that we got from Hailey. Hailey was given way too much energy. But I'm not saying that he's innocent. I'm just saying that she is going to struggle. You know, when we say that she's going to struggle, if she continues this route, she's going to struggle to be somebody. Struggle.
I don't think so.
It's not hard to get them. It's about the keeping, darling. She gonna struggle to keep them.
But people keep each other. To be honest, I think Hailey learned a lot in this scenario. If you can go,
what did she learn?
Look, she committed to Jacob for 8 weeks. You couldn't commit.
It's easy to do for 8 weeks when you know you're gonna quit at the end.
No, I don't think you're doing that the other way around with a woman on the show. Kojo, you'd be gone if she was giving you that call.
Listen, Chris did it. He's committed for 8 weeks.
Chris did not commit for 8 weeks. He was gone.
He committed in a certain way.
Or he had disappeared. Hailey committed. She kept on trying. She kept on trying to work it out. I think it's going to make her more loose and more ready for a relationship that comes next. I think she can only leave here a winner. Unlike Jacob, who says he's learned nothing from the process. Come on.
Yeah, that was petty. I'm not going to lie to you. That was part of petty. Yeah, that was petty. I won't lie to you. That was petty. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you, that was petty. There was obviously because we were reviewing it, the panelists and stuff from last week, and we were saying that it did look like, you know, it did look like that they had sex, Jacob and Hailey again.
It did.
And her hair was all, you know, when you get after you had the mashup thing, that's what it looked like. The hair was all mashed up. Talking to her friend, I was like, you couldn't even brush your hair, girl, and you had a bit of a glow in your face. She was all smiling. I said, you got some good deed, didn't you, girl?
I can't comment on that, but all I can say, I've got nothing to say on that one. If they did it, they were married.
Yeah, but so then why would she? If they did it, why would she give him a second chance again? He got a rerun, basically.
And if he can't bring the goods on the rerun, whose fault is that?
Then that would be his fault. But she looked like she was glowing this time. That looked like he didn't do it wrong this time.
Not enough to stay in the marriage.
No, it's never enough. It's never enough. It's never enough. She basically got her 2 dues and got out. There's nothing wrong with that. She collected her payments and got out. You know what I'm saying? Legally.
I don't wrong her. Any woman I know would have left Jacob. We all know this. We all know this.
Okay. All right, cool. Fair enough. We'll leave Hailey and Jacob. She's still trash. But cool. Let's talk about Clara and Ryan. Because I don't know what I can say about them, because I can't remember a thing.
I can't remember.
I just remember saying yes.
They stayed together.
That was
I hope on the reunion show that they've had sex. That's what I hope. That's my hope.
Yeah, listen, it was just hair. It was just that, like, it just. I just want to say yes. I can't remember what they said. I don't remember them saying anything. Yeah, I don't remember what was going on. I'm sick and tired of it.
She said now he's her best friend. She doesn't want to live her life without him. I think I'm very happy for them. I think those two are a perfect example of opposites attract. And the experts really getting it right, because they are very, very different. But I really do believe if they stay together over the years, they will definitely bring out the best in each other and bring out sides of each other's personality that they wouldn't have otherwise. He'll bring out some of the maybe seriousness, and she'll bring out some of the spontaneity in him. So I think they're a good match.
Huh?
You don't think they're a good match?
Listen, I don't think they're a good match, but they're going to last, and they probably will be married forever. Listen, that's because nobody's bold enough to take it by the bull by the horns and say this ain't working for me. That's why.
Kojo, are we talking about the right couple?
Clara and Ryan.
You don't think that they go together?
Not when she wants the D and he ain't giving no D, and not when he.
The union show is out tonight. I think he's going to be like, we don't talk about that. And she's going to be like...
Listen, it better be. That's what I'm going to say. It better be, right? Because he's taking 8 weeks to get there, all right? It doesn't take 8 weeks to know you're compatible.
You know what, Kojo? I just don't think you wanted to do it on national television. I honestly think
But you have to. You don't have to do it on national
I
television.
don't think
This is
he.
not Love Island. We've not asked you to show us the covers. You
I think
understand?
no. I think he didn't want to even have sex in the vicinity of the show. So I think he's gonna wait until it was done and then he's gonna be on it.
I think that says a lot about you, though. That says to me that you care about image and that you will always do whatever you need to do when it comes to the public, and that includes when you're not on TV. That includes when there's a crowd at church. That includes when you're in your workplace. You're never going to be authentic because if you like, look, the cameras are there, yes, and of course. You don't want to share everything with the cameras. I get that, right? But there is a level. No one said go onto the screen, get underneath the covers, and show us your humping. We never asked for that. All we said was, all you're asking for is that you are consummating the marriage with your wife, yeah? And you've been given shundu excuses left, right, and centre as to why you haven't got to that point of the stuff, while simultaneously taking sloppy toppy from your wife, and it makes no sense. And you wait till after you finish the show now to then say you want to have sex, and then you're like, oh, I only did it because the cameras weren't there. I'd never buy that nonsense. I never buy that person. If you do that, I think you're a person that consistently wants to always frame the narrative in how you're viewed. Don't get twisted. We all have our ways of framing the narrative. But there's extreme cases where you do whatever it must be to protect the firm. And that's not the family, that's the firm. That's what we have with the Queen. They have a firm, which is the image, not the actual family, the image. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, what are you going to say, Soph?
I agree with you to a certain extent, but I think what's coming in there with Ryan is growing up in a very religious household. So he said both of his parents are ministers. I think what we're seeing is a lot of respectability politics that goes on in Christianity. This idea of making everything seem like it's okay to the world. And I think if you're a pastor's kid, that is probably a very big reality for your life. So making sure that, people think you're, the ideal and you're doing things right and to be seen to be doing things right. And I don't know if Ryan has stepped away from that. And I think it's about the appearance of, bringing a sexual experience onto the television. He didn't even want to talk about it. He never mentioned what they done. We only heard things from Clara. If it had been up to him, we wouldn't even known that they kissed.
That's very true.
So I think it's the respectability side of it coming in. And I think that's where she's good for him because she don't have no chill. And she doesn't have that button. So hopefully we'll get him to relax a bit because he's very uptight.
He's very uptight, and like I said, right now we don't know who Ryan is. We don't know. We know we just know that he likes to control the narrative. He likes to be in control, but we don't know who Ryan is personality wise. We're not sure what he's about, because he never really gave us anything on the camera, and so unfortunately, I don't know. I guess. I guess obviously it was just a lot. I mean, sex is nothing abnormal. To have sex with your wife, it's not abnormal. It's not. Even if because listen, not in that, right? Let's say he didn't want to have sex because she got a blabber mouth. Well, guess what? You got sloppy toppy for 8 weeks. She told us. So you ain't stopped. You haven't stopped. You haven't stopped anything. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's why I can't accept it as an excuse because you were allowing her to do other things to you, and now we know. So if you think that because she's got a big mouth and you don't want to tell her because it will ruin your image, well, it's ruined your image now. We now know for 8 weeks straight her jaw's been aching and you ain't been giving nothing back.
I think that
the church gonna know that now.
Oh boy, I'm looking forward to the reunion show. I want to know if there's been an update. I hope he's still not keeping her begging and waiting. But one thing I will say, Kojo, I think there is some, maybe outside of Ryan, I'll include Ryan. There is something to be said to not jumping into bed with someone as soon as you meet them. There is a foundation that you can lay in a relationship that I think you should. This is my personal opinion. I think there is a foundation that you should and can lay when you're not being sexually intimate.
I agree.
And you can give your relationship sometimes a better chance because you're actually getting to know the person, because sex does cloud things if you're having it too early. It's a very powerful act and it's meant to be that way. It draws you together. It's supposed to be enjoyable. It's probably
That's
one of the
true.
most enjoyable experiences you can have as a human being, if not the most enjoyable experience you can have physically have as a human being. And sometimes, how many relationships you've seen people having sex, getting babies, having this, and they don't even know the person, and they've
That's
realized
true.
I don't even like the person, but you know, we had sex and it was great, and we weren't really thinking. So I think props to Ryan for trying to lay a foundation. I'm just afraid that he's asexual.
Mm.
That's my fear. That it's going to be actually I don't have an interest in sex, but we're married now. No,
I hear what you're saying, but it still doesn't take away the fact that she's been doing things to him. So all of that becomes null and void.
oh boy. Do you know what? I'm not here to defend Clara and Ryan.
Oh,
I'll
of
say
course not. You're here only to defend
yeah,
Haley.
hey, that's right. I am. So that's fine. Clara and Ryan, they're happy. I'm happy that they're happy. I like to see happiness.
If you like it, we love it. They say.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. And obviously we had Eric and Virginia as well.
Do you know what? This was a couple that I really hope didn't stay together.
Oh, why is that?
I don't think this is going to work in the long run, and I think that they are wasting each other's time. And I think that they've fallen in love with an idea of the person when the person is doing or being exactly the person that they want them to be, or looking at the good times, because they've said, we have highs and we have lows, and the highs sometimes we don't even talk about the lows when it's a good day because we're having a good day, and I think that's a very dangerous situation to be in. And he's very controlling. He has some jealousy issues that he needs to resolve, and she is not ready for a relationship with a man who wants to have complete monogamy. The monogamy is not the issue as far as I can tell, so let me rephrase that. But he wants to settle down and live a very conservative, American conservative lifestyle, and that is not her at all. And I don't see where this is going. I think eventually the differences are going to break them up, but I think they do genuinely. I think they're in lust with each other. I'm not sure if it's love yet, but I think they really like each other. They're very sexually attracted to each other. And I think it's blinding them into thinking that we just need to keep trying. No. I think in a year's time, this will be over.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think... what do you think about the cake situation? Oh, no, about the ring situation. The fact they asked her to marry her on the show.
I didn't see what the point was. Like, I think for me, Eric was coming with the manipulation right to the end. Right to the end, he was coming with that manipulation. Like, oh, she's the best thing that ever happened to me. I can't imagine my life without her. We've had highs and lows. I would swap every low for the high. He was trying to make it seem to her. He so did not want to get dumped. Like, you could see the desperation in his face, and things not working out with his first wife. I think he was so adamant that this has to work. Because when he was like, she was my soulmate, you're my soulmate. She was like, well, did you think your first wife was your soulmate? Well, yeah, but I got it wrong. So how did you get it right this time? I can't trust that. I was so confused. So I just feel like I think Eric really wants to make this work, but you're just not suited. You need to find someone at a Trump rally who is on that conservative lifestyle, Republican lifestyle, and settle down with them. Don't find the girl who's liberal, who wants to be out drinking and partying, and then try to mold her into what you want. I can't take it when men say I want a strong woman. They get a strong woman, and then they're like, I didn't want her that strong.
True. Yeah, I agree with that point. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie to you, I agree with that point. The brother is got some control issues, and I think it won't take long before she suffocates. You know what I'm saying? That's with her own madness as it is already. But yeah.
I just want them to ask if they're still living in this house, because my thing with Eric is he has no intention of changing.
Yeah, and not moving out of that house either.
He ain't moving nowhere. Yeah, he has no intention of changing. He'll be like, yeah, we will check. And when I was watching it with my husband, I was just thinking she is a rookie, because I am like, give me a date. you need to give me a deadline, yeah? Because I don't run that. When my husband be like, can you? I'd be like, he's like, oh yeah, I'll take the washing out. I went, when? When are you gonna take it out? Today. You're gonna take it out today, yeah? Okay, no problem. That's fine. Like, I need a deadline because I need something to hold you to account. If you told me you're gonna do it, it's gonna be like, who knows when? Who knows when I'm gonna do this? I said I would, and that's where we are with this house situation. It's like, of course, when the time is right, when it's the right time, I'm definitely gonna, and that day is never gonna come. So she needs to find a way to hold to account and not end up in his bachelor pad with her 50 million dogs and cats.
I'm with you on this. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm with you on this. I can't say anything different. Eric and Virginia. I think we'll see them in a year's time somewhere. Divorced.
Who would you rather take, Virginia or Paige? You have to.
Paige all day.
Really?
All day. You think I want to take somebody who wants to sleep on other people's couches as a reliable source as a partner, who drinks away, who's nervous and anxious because they're drinking so much too?
She's confident in herself and she knows what she wants.
I don't give a damn if she's confident for only 50 days and 365.
Paige is going to bend to your will every single time.
Fantastic. Rather that than have somebody who doesn't know how to keep sanity. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
I will take Paige all day every day.
Would you want a woman who's always going to say yes to you?
No, but I would rather that than the person who's drunk all the time. Or who sleeps on other men's couches thinking it's fine.
It's because what else do you think is fine? She's obviously very responsible.
Yeah, I'm never going to choose that as responsibility. Paige would never sleep on someone else's couch like that. She would never disrespect that.
Paige would never.
Yeah,
Paige would be home with you every night cooking a meal,
exactly.
rubbing your feet.
You see, that's the beauty. You see, and respect for me personally is almost number one. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you say you love me, then the very first thing that should come out of that is respect. You know? Do you know
what I'm realizing though, Kojo? That line of respect is different for everybody.
That's very true.
Because look at. We should move on to Brie and Vincent. His line for respect. It's a very muddled line because I'm very confused by what you think is respect, because what you think is disrespect, I don't think is disrespect. So when people say I just want to be respected, people need to be very clear on what exactly does that look like for you, because some men are disrespected. What was it? Eric was disrespected if she still followed her ex on social media or liked a picture. To me, that's not disrespect.
It's not necessarily disrespect, but if you haven't stated it, then I don't see it as disrespectful. I mean, if you've stated it that this is a problem for you, then that's another conversation. But I think respect. I think we had this conversation last time as well on the panel live conversation. We were talking about this, but I mean, for me, respect is just about being able to. For me, it's one of those things. It's like it's not intentionally trying to hurt. Number one, and number two is that pride is not your killer thing, because obviously we all have pride. But pride where you can't apologize, you can't see your own wrongs, you can't self-assess, that, for me, is killer, because that will always turn into the person blaming you as the reason why something went wrong, rather than taking accountability for their own actions. You know what I'm saying? Respect. And
I think pride. I think pride, as well, from what I see in Vincent, like this pride that means no one can ever say, well, I don't know what his pride is. It's like he never wants to be embarrassed. And rather than seeing, to be honest, it's something that Vincent needs to work on. His idea of what is cool and what is, it's not acceptable, but what it means to be a man to him. I'm not sure what it is, but there's something there that when that gets the edges of it are touched, he equates it with she's being disrespectful and she's being bossy. And I'm like, not all the time she's doing that. Her dancing and being like, are you okay? And you're blaming her. No, she's not being bossy. No, it's you need to work on that. So
yeah, I think those I mean there's levels of extra there's extra levels of sensitivity with Vincent that I think will mean that the lines of respect for him are much different than to other people. I'm not about to call it a disrespect because you outdanced me. What the frick? Like, like
because you know that would never happen, Kojo?
maybe that, yeah. But it's just that I would never, like, if you can do something better than me, it should never be a disrespect. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if you can do something better than me, why is it a disrespect, right?
Why would
Like,
you want to date someone who can't do anything better than you?
that's true.
I just,
That's
like,
true.
if you can't do one single thing better than me, we shouldn't be together, because how am I not, how is a person, I speak for myself, how am I on some level not going to think that I'm better than you? If everything, like, basically I'm dating a child, and that shouldn't happen. The person you're dating should bring something to the relationship. So, yeah.
No, I'm with you on that. That one I can agree with. And I think, as, you know, I think there's a good conversation talking about respect and what you expect and what's respect and etc. You know, and like I said, it's like you said, it's different for different types of men. But I think with Vincent, like, for me, Bree would be disrespectful for me. But it would be disrespectful after I've told you. Yeah, she would be, because after I said tone, delivery. You already know I'm always hot on this. Tone and delivery. Number one, I'm not your child. Okay, so talk to me. Don't do the talking down. That's annoying. The directives. I am not your child. Stop directing me. Right? Because it's the language you're using. So it would be disrespectful. Once I've told you once, I said, listen, look, the way you're talking, you're using directives. You're not. It's a suggest. If you want to suggest something to me, suggest it. You know what I mean? Like, if I say to you, Sophie, get in the kitchen, that's a directive, right? Like, Sophie, have my food ready when I get here. Tone, delivery, and the language, it's a directive. For me, that would be disrespectful. If I said, Sophie, could you please, like, cook us a meal tonight? We'd love maybe some salmon, some potatoes and stuff. I've suggested. My tone is completely different. Now, some people might be okay with that. As for me, if you do that, I think you're taking a piss a little bit. Do you know what I'm saying? And so for me, that would be a disrespectful tone that you're taking, because I'm not a child and I don't speak to you in that fashionable manner. And I think also that is part of her. That's part of her way of doing things. She's used to bossing people around and telling people what to do, because she gets away with that. She does that in her family, which is great in your family. I am not coming from your family, okay? It doesn't work like that with me. And so in order to have a mutual respect in that aspect, I feel like Bree would be disrespectful for me. But in her relationship, I think Vincent is very sensitive in a lot of things, which she doesn't even talk. She doesn't even say anything. And he finds disrespectful. Yeah,
I agree with you in terms of, if you find something disrespectful or rude, then you need to say it. But I think also I'm very mindful that for Bree or for anybody, the change, it's not going to be a one-time thing. Change takes time. If she's used to talking like that to people, to her partners within her household, it's going to take time. So I think there definitely has to be patience with things that can be changed, but somebody feels it's something that they can't tolerate. So I think something like that is going to take time. But I think something that you said, which I think is very interesting and is true, usually we're allowed to get away with behaviors in our family that it's only when we date other people we realize are not acceptable behaviors.
Yeah,
I've definitely had that. I remember one time with my sister and my mum, when I started staying with my husband, like, when I get upset about things, I'd be like, okay, can you just not talk to me for like 24 hours, 48 hours? I just need space. And he was like, that's just unacceptable. And I was just like, no, it's not. My family give me that time. And one time I spoke to my sister. I was like, you give me the time. And she was like, oh, no, we all think it's a problem. Yeah, we all think it's too long. We all think that, yeah, you need to get out of that quickly. But, you know, we're your family. So we put up with it. And that made me realize, like, oh, so things that I think are normal and I'm expecting someone else to put up with, other people are going to be like, no, that's not okay. And I think it's very important for people to really assess themselves in a relationship. And when your partner's saying something to you and you say, well, my family's okay with it, just be mindful your family might be putting up with you because they've known you since the womb, not because the behavior is acceptable.
And so that's the key point, which is why I think the conversation is important, because obviously you won't know that may be disrespectful to someone else, right? Or even painful to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? right? So and for me, that is never a problem. So it's like, okay, look, the first time something happens, I'm gonna tell you, listen, look, like the way you do this behavior for me doesn't work, right? Now, obviously, depending on what it is, because I think some things, yeah, you have to give a little leeway because people have to learn how to go about it. I think when someone says something in a certain way, you have to understand that they've always said it in a certain way, that may be a little bit difficult for them to kind of change that, and that's understandable. There are there are other things which I think are more destructive. Like, for instance, if I'm a flirt, yeah, which I am, but I'm single, so it's fine. But if I'm a flirt in a relationship, right, and you tell me, Coach, I'm uncomfortable when you flirt with women, let's say on the net, right? As you're doing your lives, you flirt with them. It makes me feel bad when you do that, right? And I go ahead and do it again. That I don't need a second chance to change that behavior. That just needs to stop. There are certain things that just need to stop. There's no leeway for it. So there are some things which you can go, yeah, you know what, you're working on yourself. That is you're going onto very dangerous territory of lines. You're starting to break boundaries.
So
and I think that's slightly different.
I agree, but do you think that that's the case with Brie? Because I don't think it is.
Brie doesn't want to change. She really said it herself. This is me. This is who I am.
No. You're putting words in Brie's mouth.
Did she not say that?
No. Do you know what? And I am not a Brie and Vincent stan, so I'm hopefully I'm being unbiased. But when he's saying that he doesn't like that she's assertive and he doesn't want her to be that, I think that's the bit when she's like, that's just who I am. And I think that Vincent makes out like being assertive is a bad thing, and we should all be striving to be assertive. I remember I went to counseling some years ago, and they were saying aggression is a 10, like being not ambivalent, but not saying anything, not doing anything is a 0.
A 0, yeah.
5 is assertive, and that's where people need to be operating from. In terms of, you say, I don't actually like when you do that, Kojo. It makes me feel such and such a way. Or, where do you want to go tonight? Do you want Chinese? No, I don't want to go to Chinese. I don't feel like that. There are some people who act either aggressively at like I don't want to have that. Why would you get? We don't need that. We don't need do you want to go for Chinese? Whatever you want. You know, I'm happy to have whatever.
Yeah, you don't want that.
I can find anything on the menu.
Nonchalant. Yeah.
But you know in your heart you don't want it. And there are a lot of people, and I would probably say a lot of women. A lot of women who will act underneath assertiveness because they think it makes them more attractive. Because, you know, if I don't put up too much of a fuss, if I don't say too much, maybe he'll want to be with me. Maybe he'll stay with me. And we should all be striving to be assertive. And I think Brie, she's maybe like a 7 on that scale. I like, because when she was like, yeah, go turn off the light, I was just like, I felt away.
It's tone. See, that's what I'm saying.
And I'm watching this in the UK. I'm just like, man, I can say things quite bluntly, and I'm very fortunate that my husband is not sensitive at all. Really, he's not like Vincent. He's not gonna cry in the corner if there's something that he thinks that I've said that is not acceptable. He would just be like you said, Sophie. Like, he was just always be like, it depends. If he's angry, he'll be like, don't. If he's not, he'll be like, the way that came across, I didn't really like that. You know, what did you mean by that? And I think the problem that we have with Vincent is that he doesn't know how to navigate those difficult situations. He will just be petty or be rude or say something hurtful. And she's not saying out of malice. And the fact that he comes back with that, it doesn't help the situation. He needs to be able to address it. And Brie probably needs to break it down a bit. Like that whole waking him up in the morning because you feel she needs to slow her roll a little bit. Yeah,
but and that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying. That she did say she didn't want to change. Like, she ain't changing that. She said that's gonna be her.
The assertiveness, yes, but I don't think she means her tone, Kojo.
Yeah, but the boy obviously said assertiveness, but he's been talking about your tone for a long time, my friend. You know what I'm saying? Like, the way you deliver, okay, is bad. And I keep saying this. Like, the key thing is, right, that you don't want someone to be harboring resentment, Vincent or anybody. Like, I know some people are saying, oh, if she had a strong man, this wouldn't happen. It would happen, because the point is, you are who you are regardless. That is your base setting. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you get comfortable, this is you. right? So it wouldn't, if it was a strong man, he might not stay in his relationship, but it'd be the same thing because that's who Bree is, right? And assertive is never an issue, but how do you deliver that assertiveness? You know what I mean? Like it's how you deliver that that's important. And I always give this analogy. Amazon package comes through your door. He's holding your package. You open the door and he dashes the package at you. Or he hands it to you. Which one would you prefer? Everybody would say, well, I mean, everyone would say, oh, I would prefer it to be in my hand. But when it comes to someone delivering a word in a certain way, it's like, well, you know, that's how I am. No, but that's not, but if that's how the package man delivers it, that's who he is. But you understand that's not acceptable. So there's a way of being able to, for instance, the light situation, like you said, that's a very small thing, but it builds. It builds, you know.
But do you know what I think? There's Coach,
but I know what he's saying about him. He's got his own issues.
He does, but I feel like there's also a very fine line between, and I'm not saying this is for Bree and Vincent. I'm talking outside.
Yeah.
There is a line between you saying something in a particular way and someone needing to work on their own crap. Because there are people out here who would have us changing the way we speak, the way we look, the way we do this, we do that, because, it makes me feel in a certain way. To a certain extent, you need to work on your feelings, because I can't box myself up into this shape to make you feel like I can never cause you offense. Some of those things is not me causing offense. It's the fact that you're too, not sensitive, but you don't know how to take certain things. You haven't got those muscles that can, take what someone is saying and not see it as... Do you get what I mean? I think sometimes people don't have effective boundaries and they will make their feelings everybody else's problem and responsibility. And it's like, it's not my responsibility to never make you feel bad or never say anything. That's not my responsibility. I can try to say things that aren't hurtful, but sometimes if I'm speaking honestly or speaking my mind, you're like, well, I don't like it. Well, we need to look into that.
But I think, so how many couples? This is the thing. How many couples that come into therapy because of communication?
All.
Precisely.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's
almost every single couple comes in. That's what I'm trying to say. That it wouldn't matter whether Bree was with someone else or not. Vincent too. It wouldn't matter who he's with because he's insecure. It wouldn't change. There could be a girl that would be better, that maybe would tend to his wounds better and maybe not say things that would tamper him, but then he would take inches because that's what insecurity will do. Insecurity needs room to breathe, and the more room you give it, the more it takes. Your assertiveness in the way of the tone and delivery, let me say about the way you deliver your tone and delivery, needs room. The more you give it, the more you'll do. Right? So the truth of the matter is both parties here, okay, have got issues with the way they deal with certain things, right? And it will become an issue that later on they go into therapy for. Do you know what I'm saying? It will, because that, I know some people are saying just get a partner that understands you. No, because listen, a lot of men will be like, if the man replied the same way, this is going to get messy. That's why I said to you, get in the kitchen. No one's accepting that. Who's accepting get in the kitchen? Some people might. You
know what? People who will say, she just needs to find someone who's, a better man, a better fit. I was having this conversation the other day with my husband. I'm sorry, I say my husband a lot, guys, but we're just coming out of lockdown. He's the only person I've seen every day for the past year. Do you know what I mean? It's been a rough time. Oh, thank you so much about the lipstick. I'm wearing Dior. Dior red lipstick. I will try and get the details and I'll put them down in the comments later on. So there was a picture of this couple. Someone posted a picture of a couple saying, if I can't have this, so it's basically this couple when they're young, probably 20s. And if I can't have this, if it's not this, then I don't want it. That was it. So it was a couple, a young black couple in their 20s, and then a picture of them obviously like 50, 60 years later, an old couple holding hands. And my husband was just like, people get it twisted thinking that they stayed together because they were right for each other. rather than the fact that they worked through all the stuff that they had going on and they communicated through it and they
True.
got over difficult times. He was listening to a podcast because he loves to listen to podcasts, and the guy said, it was John Maxwell, who does leadership talks, and he was saying, John Maxwell said, I used to think that people who were married, people who got divorced couldn't deal with, like, there were problems that were too big. But now I realize that the people who stay married had the same problems and bigger problems. They just learn to work through them and communicate through them and get over them. Because I think it is a misconception that, well, when you're with the right person, everything's going to work out. It's still work. Yeah. It can still break up if you don't put in the work and the time and the effort. And yes, a big part of being in a healthy relationship, I won't even say good, because what is good? You know what I mean? A big part of being in a healthy relationship with someone is the person you choose. And definitely we see with Chris and Paige, the person makes a difference.
It does make a difference.
But a big part of it also is how you communicate and how you work through difficult times. It is a misconception that finding the right person means that you get through difficult times easier. That's not true. It's the fact that you've probably worked on those skills more and you communicate better. There is no maybe there is, but I don't know of any person that meets someone who is just like, wow, we just don't have any issues because we're so perfectly matched. It's a misconception that conflict is a sign of something bad in a relationship. That if there's conflict, and I'm not talking about the makeups to breakups. If your relationship's making up and breaking up, you shouldn't be together. There's something you can't work through. Let me just say that. There might be some things that are too big, but generally having difficulties in a relationship, having conflict allows you to grow. If you don't test anything, you're never going to know whether it can stand. And I'm not talking about physical abuse, emotional abuse, neglect, cheating. That's not even conflict. That's disrespect. It's wrong. It's abuse. But you need to learn how to work through these conflicts in order to be a couple that lasts. Like I don't believe in soulmates.
Yeah. No,
I don't believe it. I believe you find somebody who you love and that you make it work. And if I died, I told my husband he can find someone after 2 years. I said, don't disrespect my name. Don't be one of them guys.
Wait, sorry. 2 years? You want him to wait 2 years?
2 years.
Why 2 years?
I'll tell you why.
You gone.
I'll tell you why. I will tell you why. My husband is a pastor, yeah?
Okay, fair enough, yeah.
And I know pastors out here, when their wife dies, they are out here doing the madness. Women are bringing around macaroni and cheese, talking about, pastor, I just want to, feed you. Your wife is not here anymore. Pastor needs something, blah, blah. I worked with a woman who said, oh, yeah, Sophie, I met my husband at his wife's funeral.
God damn.
Yeah. Yeah. And I said to my husband, you had better not do me like that. You make it look like you at least loved me. Because some of the pastors I've seen, their wife dies within a year. They're married, engaged, walking around. And I'm just like, nah, man. I look at them, I'm like, he didn't love his wife. I mean, I know it was still death do us part, but damn.
He said he's done.
Children. These had children. They live big lives together. And suddenly, that's it. So I told him, 2 years is enough respect on my name.
Yeah.
After that, go do your thing. He was to come with, babe, I'm just like, you're a liar. We both know you were not going to stay single, but at least show some respect in it. I couldn't. I'd be so upset.
Fair enough. I understand that. I understand that. You get me? I get it. I do get it.
Yeah, I already spoke to one of his friends, we're talking to his friend about it. His friend was busting up. I was just like, don't come with that, Sophie would want you to be happy. I went, not before 2 years, no.
He gonna be like, listen, it's a year and a half. I can't do anything right now. Okay, give me 6 months. I got you. No, I hear what you're saying. I do get that. I hear what you're saying. Give him time to reflect, settle down, let the dust settle a little bit before going again.
Saying. Yes.
I hear that. No, I play with that. I mean, obviously, yeah. Like I think we're just saying about the Brie and Vincent. It's just, I guess, if they can work on those things, which I think they probably will end up doing, they'll be fine. You know, I think they'll be
I
fine. Do you know
agree.
what I mean? Yeah.
I think there's big hopes for those two. I don't think they're a perfect couple, but I think they're a couple who are suited to each other in a lot of areas, and I think they can also bring the best out of each other if they learn to communicate.
Yeah. Yeah. Brie Vince, if you see this, listen. Let me coach you. You know what I mean? I got you. You understand?
Come like Derek Jackson, isn't it?
Don't worry about that. Don't worry. I got you, man. I got you. All right. But what's your final thoughts? And your maybe, or should we say predictions? Even we got the episode coming out later on today. What's your final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Final thoughts are that Paige is going to be given it a second chance because she feels that she's seen changes. That's for Brie. Hayley and Jacob, I think we've seen that they're going to dislike each other even more. I'm hoping Hayley has found happiness. She deserves it. Clara and Ryan had sex. I'm hoping that he said he loves her, but I think he's going to say no, he hasn't. But I think they have consummated. Eric and Virginia, she's giving him one Sunday a month. That's what my that's my prediction. And Brie and Vincent, she's learning to be more respectful, and she's come around to the idea of having a baby.
Okay, I hear you. Guys, thank you so much again. Before we go, Soph, just let them know where they can find you as well.
So you can find me at I am Sophie Hannah. That's my YouTube handle. So you can find film review content. I'm also bringing out some new content. In the next month, I'm going to be interviewing Kojo. I'm holding you to it live on here, Kojo. Don't be giving them eyes. Don't be doing it. Kojo, I'm signing you up for that. But yep. And you can also find me on Instagram at I am Sophie Hannah. So make sure you go over there, like, follow, subscribe, do all those good stuff. Trying to build my Instagram followers this year, trying to have more people see my content. I'm about 40 something people off of having 1,000 followers. So go over, show some love at I am Sophie Hannah.
Beautiful stuff. Guys, make sure you enjoy yourself. Thank you for tuning in once more. Your comment section was crazy as always. Loved it.
Love you guys.
So, yeah, man. They always keep me entertained, man. So appreciate them so much. But Soph as well, thanks as well, man. It was good, man. It was vibes today, man. I enjoyed it, man. A good conversation today as well. We'll see what happens next week because obviously once the reunion comes through, it's gonna be a bit of a
I want to see Chris going on a madness, storming off to his car. I cannot wait.
It's gonna get a little messy, baby. So yeah, guys, make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of the uploads, and we will see you soon as well. Love you too as well. I see Audrey said love you too, guys. And we'll see you soon. All right, stay hydrated, people.